Have you ever been suffocated by the chaos of the world? Have you had the feeling that you are wasting time, running after things that, deep down, don't matter? If so, you are not alone. 2,000 years ago, a man named Seneca already reflected on this. Stoic philosopher, the emperor's counselor, as well as a human being surrounded by luxury, pressure, and contradictions. But what makes him amazing is that, even living in the heart of the Roman Empire, he chose the essentials, living with purpose, peace, and wisely. Today, we will dive into Seneca's thoughts, not as a philosophy class, but as a conversation about real life. Let's talk about time, emotions, fear, death, and especially how to live well, despite everything. If you feel you are always running, but it is nowhere, this video is for you. If you want more presence, more clarity, more self-domain, this video is your breathing break. Let's go together. One live according to nature. Seneca invites us to live according to nature, but not the nature of trees and rivers only, but our inner nature, our rational essence. In today's world, this can mean something very deep. Stop living with appearances. Stop comparing yourself all the time. Modern life pushes us out of ourselves. It charges us productivity, success, perfection. But Seneca pulls us back in. He reminds us that living well is living with truth. And the truth is in what we are, not what we appear to be. To live according to nature is also to return to the essentials. Remember that you don't need so much to be happy. That simplicity is not poverty, it is freedom. When you live according to your reason, your actions are no longer impulsive. Their choices have the basis, purpose, clarity. You don't follow the crowd. You follow your conscience. And this today is revolutionary. Now stop a moment and ask, are you living the way you feel that you were born to live? Or are you just surviving in automatic, trying to please other people's expectations? To live according to nature is to live in peace with what you are, not what they expect from you. It is respectful. It is listening to one's voice in the midst of the noise of the world. Seneca teaches us that those who live according to reason is not lost in illusions. It is not led by each fashion, each trend, each opinion. He follows firm, even if alone, because you know that internal truth is a stronger guide than any crowd. And this is a deep form of freedom. True virtue is the true good. For Seneca, true happiness is not in external achievements, but in the quality of our character. In a time where we are bombarded by promises of immediate pleasure, Stoicism sounds like a firm whisper. Focus on virtue. It's not fame, it's not money, it's not approval. It is integrity. It is courage. It is wisdom. Virtue does not depend on anyone. It is born of your choice, every day, in every little attitude. To be virtuous today is to refuse the easy shortcut. It is not lying to gain advantage. It is not to retaliate with hatred when someone hurts you. It is acting justice even when it would be more convenient to ignore. Virtue protects us from ourselves. And when she guides our decisions, life becomes lighter. Because there is no guilt where there is truth. There is no fear where there is honor. Virtue is inner freedom. We live in a time where being ethical seems naive, where those who take advantage of others seem to win. But Seneca would say this is not victory, it is empty disguised. Virtue may not take you to the top of the social pyramid, but it will give you peace when you lie your head on the pillow. It will give you real self-esteem, not based on applause, but on values. And when everything seems to crumble around you, when people disappoint you, when life squeezes, virtue will be your shelter. Because those who have a firm character are never fully lost. He may fall, but he knows how to get up, with dignity. And that is worth more than any passing achievement. 3. Accept the destination. Seneca teaches that resisting the inevitable is a waste of vital energy. How many times have you suffered for something you couldn't change? For a loss? For a mistake? For something that has fully ran away from your control? Stoicism invites us to stop fighting the tide of fate. The pain comes, yes. Frustration appears. But wisdom is in accepting and redirecting. What you do not control, you release. Accepting fate is not giving up. It is understanding the limits of your strength. It is knowing where your power ends and life begins as it is. When you learn to distinguish what is in your hands and what is not, something changes inside you. You get lighter, more serene, and it begins to invest your energy where it really makes a difference in your attitudes, in your reactions, in your choices. Seneca believed that life has its own flow and that swimming against it is a form of useless suffering. If you have lost something, if someone hurt you, if life has changed without warning, it may not be about understanding why. Perhaps it is about accepting, growing, and following. Because peace doesn't come when everything makes sense, it comes when you stop fighting with what has happened. To accept is not to conform. It is maturing. It is looking at what hurts with respect and saying, it happened. And I continue. It is transforming the why me. And what can I learn from this? Destiny is not your enemy. He is his teacher. And the sooner you accept the lessons, the faster you will break free from useless suffering. For master your emotions. Seneca didn't tell you to stop feeling. He said feel. But don't be overwhelmed. Emotions such as anger, envy, fear, and sadness are part of the human condition. The problem is when they control us, blind, consume. The Stoic person observes the emotion as one who watches a cloud passing. She recognizes, understands, but does not identify herself. Does the anger come? Breathe. Does fear arise? Evaluate. Does the sadness beat? Accept, but do not sink. In today's world, where everyone lives on the skin, mastering emotions is a superpower. Do not explode, not react on the impulse. Not shaking by everything is a proof of inner strength. And this is conquered with practice, self-knowledge, with living philosophy. Every time you choose not to act in the heat of emotion, you earn a little more freedom. And this freedom is worth gold. Seneca said that anger is a passing madness, that hatred is poison we take waiting for the other to die, and that fear is an invisible imprisonment we carry inside. Now stop and think, how many wrong decisions have you made on impulse? How many words did you talk about in the heat of emotion and then wanted to go back in time to erase? How many relationships, opportunities, days have you been wasted because you didn't know how to silence the internal storm? But the good news is that you can learn. You can breathe before answering. It may reflect before acting. It can become an observer of one's mind. This is being stoic. It is not being cold. It is being free. It is knowing that you are not what you feel. You choose what to do with what you feel. And this choice changes everything. Time is our greatest treasure. Seneca wrote a letter called About the Brevity of Life, where he says, life is not short. We are who wasted it. And it hits hard. How many hours have you lost with things that add nothing? Rolling the feed, complaining, worrying about what doesn't depend on you. Time is the only good that, when spent, does not come back. There is no way to recover a wasted minute. The Stoic secret is to live the present with intention. Living every moment as if it were the most important because, in fact, it is. Planning the future is good, but living in the now is essential. To value time is to value life. Therefore, Seneca invites us to be selective with whom we spend our time, with what we pay attention to, with what we prioritize. Time is finite. Use wisely. Think now, if your life ended in a month, would you keep living the same way? Paying attention to the same things? Repeating the same habits? Many live as if time is infinite, but one day it ends. And when it ends, what's up? What moments were worth? What words were not said? Time is not a renewable resource. It is a constant reminder that everything goes through. And so it matters. Seneca warns us too busy live as if they were immortal. They run so much behind everything that forget to live. And maybe you need to slow down. Breathe. Review priorities. Do not expect the loss, the pain, the crisis to realize the value of the now. Because, in the end, the true tragedy is not to die early. It is living distracted. Wake up to the time you still have. He is his greatest gift. 6. Do not have death. For Stoic, death is only part of life. And Seneca spoke of her with almost disconcerting calm. He said, "Death should not be feared, for as long as we exist, it is not here. And when it arrives, we are no longer." To accept death is to accept life as it is impermanent. The more we run out of this fact, the more anxious we become, and more we stop living. Awareness of death helps us value the now. It helps us say, "I love you" without fear. Doing what matters. To stop postponing. When you understand that time has an end, you start living more true. Stoic does not want to die, but does not fear. He lives ready because he knows that the essential is not how long you have, but what you do with it. Think for a moment, if today were your last day, would you have lived what you needed? Would you have said what matters? Would you have forgiven who needs it? Would it have been yourself? These questions are not to generate fear, but clarity. Death does not have to be a taboo. It can be a flashlight, illuminating what really matters. Seneca believed that by reflecting on death, we stopped wasting time on what is not worth it. We stopped feeding useless fights, old hurts, empty distractions. And we begin to live with presence, with gratitude, with intensity. Because, in the end, the best preparation for death is a well-lived life. 7. Wealth and poverty are indifferent. Seneca was a rich man, but his philosophy taught him that money alone brings no security or peace. He said that the true rich is the one who needs little, because those who depend on a lot live hostage. Status hostage, vanity, comparison. Stoic values what is sufficient. What's more, it is trained so as not to depend, to be well even with little. In today's world, where consumption has become religion, this idea is revolutionary. It is not wrong to have, but it is dangerous to be defined for what you have. Freedom begins when you realize that you can live with less and yet be complete. This is self-sufficiency. It is living with dignity, not with ostentation. Seneca reminds us the greatest wealth is to own themselves. How many people do you know that they have everything, and yet they live in anguish? And how many have little, but live with joy and lightness? The difference is not in the balance of the account, it is in the soul. It's how happy you can be with what you already have. The true abundance begins in contentment. Seneca also practiced detachment. He believed that we should be prepared to lose everything and yet keep calm. Because what is essential, no one can take. It's not the car, the house, the position. It is your peace, your character, your quiet conscience. And this is priceless. 8. Practice daily self-awareness. Seneca ended her days reflecting, what did I do good today? Where did I go wrong? Where can I improve? This daily habit is the heart of Stoicism. It is no use accumulating knowledge if you are not observed. Philosophy is not a beautiful speech, it is a practice. And this practice begins with the mirror of the soul looking at itself, without masks, no excuses. In the world of hurry, stopping to reflect is almost an act of resistance. But it is there, in this internal silence, that the biggest changes happen. When you know yourself, you understand yourself. And when one understands, it acts more aware. Self-knowledge is the shortest way between who you are and who you want to be. Have you ever stopped to look into real? Have you ever wondered why you act how you act? Why do you repeat certain standards? Stoic is an observer of itself. He does not judge himself cruelty, but with responsibility. He knows he only improves what faces head-on. And so it grows. A little every day. Seneca reminds us that the biggest project of your life, it's yourself, and that there is no evolution without self-analysis. There is no peace without inner sincerity. So, before bed, turn off your phone, close your eyes, and ask honestly, today I was the one I want to be? Seneca may have lived in the Roman Empire, but her teachings are more current than ever. The Stoicism he has lived and wrote is an invitation to courage, lucidity, and freedom. It is a philosophy of life not to decorate phrases, but to apply every day. In chaos, in pain, in doubt, Stoic breathes deep and acts rightly. If you have gotten here, something inside you are awakening. Perhaps it is the call to live with more purpose, with more presence, with more true. And if that's it, accept the call. Live like Seneca. Because in the end, you don't have to control the world. Just need to control yourself. And that already changes everything. If this video made you reflect, if any word touched you, then I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Here, we talk about philosophy of truth, the one that transforms, that calms, that strengthens. Every week, content that helps you live with more awareness, wisdom, and purpose. Click the subscribe button and activate the bell so you don't miss anything. And if you are already part of our community, leave your comment below. I want to know how philosophy has made a difference in your life. Let's walk together.